Hello again, welcome back. So now let's talk about how to add a handle to our cup. So we are going to use a technique called a sweep. And the first thing we're going to do is sketch a path that our handle is going to go on. So I have my cup here, I'm looking at the front view, and I'm going to put the handle over here on the right side. Okay, so what I need to do is create a sketch. And I'm going to select down here when my plane shows up, the front plane. That's going to put my handle perfectly in the center. Okay, so by making the origin the center of my cup, I can select that plane, and that is perfectly in the center, halfway between the front and back of my cup. Alright, so now what I want to do is I'm going to use some projected geometries. So I'm going to press P on my keyboard, and I'm going to select my cup here. Okay, and select body, see if that, yeah, select an object, and I can say OK. Alright, and so now you'll see I have this outline projected into my current sketch of my cup. And I could go over here and turn off my bodies, and you see the outline of my cup. Okay, so I'm going to go to create an arc, and again I'm going to do a 3-point arc, and I'm just going to start somewhere on this line, maybe right about here. I'm going to end it down here somewhere. I'm going to say my handle's going to curve out like this. Okay, so I'm going to hit escape to get rid of my arc tool, and then I'm just going to start moving things around, just sort of adjusting how. Notice if I go right here on that dot, it might try to snap to that point. So if you see that, you might not want it to snap to a given point. Just be aware if you're making constraints show up. Okay, so that's a constraint right there. It says that this and the line are coincident. Well, there you go. See how that box showed up around that? Let's see if I can zoom in and hold it. So you'll see the box around my point now. If I let go of my mouse button at this point, it's going to snap on right there, and now I can't move it off of there. So I have to press Control Z and Control Z again until it moves off of that point, and now I can free drag it. All right, and it's going to move. Notice that it doesn't stay necessarily on. It's going to follow this curve up here, and now when we change curves, all right, it goes off the line. So I think right about there. Normally I would have you guys dimension your parts, but for this isn't a precision thing, right? I'm just making a cup, and I'm doing this based on looks. So I'm not going to use a lot of dimensions. I'm going to leave my sketches underdefined. I'm going to bring this up, not quite all the way to the top. Okay, you can change the radius if I click and drag my line here. All right, I can make my handle curve really tight to the cup. I can bring it way out crazy wide. I kind of like it just about like that. All right, so this is just the shape. The handle's going to follow this line right here. So I'm going to say finish sketch. And over here in sketch 2, I'm going to name it handle path. Okay. And the next thing I want to do is turn my bodies back on. All right, so there's my cup, you can see, and I have my handle's going to go here. All right, so I'm going to go up here to construct, and I want to do an offset plane. And I'm going to turn this so I'm looking at the right side, and I want to offset this plane. And the distance I want to offset is up to an object, and that object is going to be, let's say, the top here. I'm going to click on this dot right there. All right, and so now you'll see I have this little bitty plane that appeared out here. All right, so I'll just go ahead and say OK. And I have my plane there. I'm going to click on it, and you don't really have to do this, but I kind of like to make it big. All right, so I can see I'm going to be drawing in this plane right here. All right, then I'm going to make sure, hit escape a couple times. I don't want to have anything selected And over here, I'm going to press Create Sketch. And then I'm going to tell it this plane that I just created, that's where I want to sketch. So I'll sketch here, okay? And then I'm going to move this back to center. And again, I'm going to turn bodies off for a minute, okay? Now, I like to do an elliptical handle. So under Create, you could do ellipse, right? If you want a round handle, you could do a circle. You could do a rectangle if you want to. You really can do any shape you want. I think for being functional, I'm going to go with ellipse, right? And I like to just draw my ellipse, right? So I put the center point, I put a right point, and then I go, right? Just make it arbitrarily sized, okay? There it is, boom. Just somewhere on the screen, okay? We will size it and position it after I bring it into existence, okay? So here I am. I'm a wizard. I've just conjured into existence an ellipse. I'm going to press Escape. I'm done with my ellipse tool. And then I'm going to press D on the keyboard because I want a dimension. And I'm going to say the left side of my ellipse over to the right side of my ellipse. I'd like that to be 1/2 inch. And from the bottom of my ellipse to the top of my ellipse, I'd like that to be 1/8 of an inch, 0.125. Alright, so there's my ellipse. Alright, I can press Escape. I'm done dimensioning. And now I can just click and drag my ellipse around. And I'm going to zoom in here and bring my ellipse and turn back on my body. Bring my ellipse down here and somewhere right around this line here, right? So I'm going to click on that line and say coincident with the center of my ellipse. So I want the center of my ellipse on that line. And let's see, if I bring my ellipse down, can I snap it to that point right there? I can. So the little square shows up and it tells me it's going to snap to that point. Bingo. That looks good there. So now I'm going to say Finish Sketch. Okay, zoom out. What have I accomplished? Well, you can see there's the cross section of my handle, and this is the path, but I still don't have a handle. Alright, so I'm going to go over here to Sketch 3. I'm going to name it Handle Cross Section. Okay, just so I know what that is. So if I want to change it later, the shape of my handle, I'll go back to that. Now I'm ready to create my handle in 3 dimensions. So up here under Create, we'll go to Sweep, select Sweep, and we want Type Single Path, Profile. This is where I select the cross section. So I'm going to go click inside of my cross section, and then I'm going to click on Path, and I'm going to say I want it to follow that path. And Fusion seems to always do a cut by default. I'm not sure why. So down here, we're going to switch from cut to join. And voila, there is my handle. I can say OK. All right, and I have a handle. You know, I'm looking at my handle, and I think, gosh, I think I want it to be a little thicker. It looks a little too thin for my liking. So I'm going to go here to Handle Cross Section, double click. And instead of an 1/8 inch, I'm going to do a 1/4 inch. Change that dimension. All right, and then finish my sketch. And there we go. Okay. But you know, you see this gap right here? Oh, that's kind of ugly. All right. I got to move the whole thing down a little bit. So let's go back to Handle Cross Section and just grab this dot. And oh, I got to zoom it in and figure out which one of these constraints is the one that snapped it to that point. Let's just delete them. Okay, click on there, click on that guy, try deleting that, and see if I can move it. There we go. Now I can move it down. So I'm going to move it down so the top is on that point there. Finish my sketch. Alright, so now it's connected. Looks a lot better. Alright, good. Okay. Yeah. I feel okay with that. Maybe it doesn't need to stick out away from my cup so far. So I can go back into my handle path and I can move this in and then say finish. All right, and then you can see each time I make a change, my 3D model updates. All right, and I'm going to go look at the top here again. And now I've ended up with that weird gap up top, so let me undo my previous change. Just press the undo key. Move this over so I can see. Press undo one more time, finish sketch. There we go. I don't want to have that weird gap at the top. Zoom in there, let's see. I think I have it. Okay. So that looks good. And I'm going to go check one other thing inside of my sweep down here. Double click on that. Distance, taper, twist, orientation. Doesn't give me an option to go multiple directions. So it starts from where my profile is. Oh, now I have two profiles selected. How did I do that? Oops. Did not mean to do that. Okay, there we go. So we'll do that. There. And, whoa! Oops. Didn't mean to do that. Apparently somehow I only selected half of my ellipse. No problem. I'll go back in and click in the other half of my ellipse. There. Boom. Now I have a full elliptical handle. Okay. If you wanted a rectangular handle, you could make one. I'm going to go up here and press save. Okay. All right. And I am ready to export an STL. So if you are doing this on a Chromebook, you'll have to go back. If you don't remember how to get your STL, look at the previous exercise on the Cointrap. I believe I show you how to export from the Chrome browser. I'm on a Windows computer, so you could always just go over to the laptop you're going to be using to slice anyway, pull it up on Fusion, and download your STL there. So I will go to File and Export and tell this that I want an STL file, and I want it to go to my Downloads folder and just say Export. And I can close this window. It'll tell me when it's finished. Okay. One more thing I wanted to point out to you guys. Let me turn on some sketches here. All right, so here is my cup with all the crazy lines and stuff I drew, and if you want to get rid of those things, over here in your browser you have sketches, and you can just turn off all sketches if you click that, and they all go away. Or if you want to see some of them but not others, you can click things like this. All right, and then under bodies, we only have the one body, that's the cup. I'm going to rename it cup. All right. But if you wanted to get rid of that for some reason, if you didn't want to see it, you could turn it off. And you could turn off sketches, and it looks like there's nothing here. You're like, oh my gosh, where'd all my stuff go? All right, so there's my sketches again. There's my bodies. There's my bodies without sketches. All right, so that should be exported, and I'm going to stop this video, and then we'll make another one about how to slice and print your cup.